So my name is Constantin Klyk. At the moment, I'm project manager for a company, ZIMMERMANN PV-Steel Group. I am focusing on all the different aspects of AgriPV systems. Before this, I spent some time in research at ISC Constance, where I spent my time with system design, system simulations, and then also dived into the topic of AgriPV and got very excited about it. So AgriPV can be a great solution to different problems that we have in Europe, but also in the world. So first of all, if we concentrate on countries, let's say on Germany, I can talk the best about it. I have the most experience. We have a lot of trouble with space that is available. Space is limited and is basically an ending resource, so it will never get more. While our government says they want to increase the renewable energies by far, because we have to, otherwise everything will be screwed. At the same time, we need the space that we have for farming, because even more important than energy is food. And if we take all the space for food away to put PV plants there, then we also have a problem. And one of the solutions for this topic is AgriPV. We do put energy and food on the same place. We make use of one and the same plot for both. We share the photons that comes from the sun. And at the same time, there are some concepts of AgriPV that also have great benefits, either for the PV but also for the plants, especially horticulture, where we get a protective effect from the PV to the plants, and we can replace hail nets, for example. We can replace foil tunnels, and this also saves quite some costs. It is a great advantage for biodiversity, because we can also save a lot of pesticides and fungicides and avoid killing all these insects with these beans. There is very little about numbers like this. So AgriPV is very much in the beginning, but the number of plants that are really built is still on a very slow rise. But if I imagine now that all these requests that I get at the moment, that they will be built in the next 1, 2, 3 years, because developing a PV project is just such a time-consuming process until you get all the permissions and all this stuff. So I think we are just before the curve goes, and the growth will be very, very strong. At the moment, the technology is not so hard. The technology is quite simple. At the moment, the political framework is very difficult. So it depends on what country you are in. But looking at Europe, at the 3 biggest AgriPV countries in Europe, which are Germany, Italy, and France, all of these 3 are in a very unsecure state now. So all these 3 countries are in a political process to change the legislation, and no one really knows how it's going to look afterwards. And for a project to develop now without knowing what is going to come is very difficult. As the name also says, it always starts with the agri side. And based on this, you can categorize AgriPV pretty well. So there's some solutions where only one category makes sense for it. So AgriPV, you can mainly differentiate it in 3 categories: high elevated systems, inter-row configuration, and the 3rd category is basically solar greenhouses. So basically it's quite much defined by the type of agriculture that is below. Which of these 3 categories will you use? If you grow apples, it doesn't make sense to put the PV rows in between. And if you want to farm cereals, for example, it does not really make sense to put the PV panels above, because you need such a huge working width for the machinery. And you can basically look at the business case, what does make more sense, to determine how should it look. AgriPV does not work without the farmer. So it always has to work together with the farmer. If the farmer will not be happy with the new PV system and the changes that it brings for him, then AgriPV won't work. Usually they are designed in a way to have the possibility to sell to the grid, and I would say the majority of the electricity is going to the grid. But of course, it is even more attractive to the farmer is if he can use the electricity by himself, and it depends very much on the solution. There's a lot of possibilities to use this electricity. So one possibility is to work on your farm to make following products, but also cold storage is a huge topic that consumes a lot of electricity. Then the aim is to electrify farming in general through this topic and use maybe electric tractors. There are examples of farms that are really integrating the electric tractors with the AgriPV system, charge the tractor only from the AgriPV system, and make use of the electricity line. I would say now it's the right moment to enter the market, because at the moment there is little knowledge about, or not little knowledge, but the knowledge is not so diffused at the moment. So if everyone starts now, no one really has a big head start. Of course, there are some companies that do have this big head start because they put huge efforts into it, but it is not that there are a lot of really well-known players at the market yet. In the future, we will get the problem that permissions for a standard PV system will be quite difficult to get. We see it in some different markets, and the earlier you adapt and the earlier you start learning how it works, how you can interact with the farmer, what are the good models for integrating, also contractual, integrating the farmer, the landowner, whatever is there. The earlier you learn all these things, the bigger advantage you have in the end, when it will be very difficult to develop something that is not AgriPV. 1 year ago, we signed the contract to write the book. We had everyone together and started work. With our book, we really try to unite all, or at least the majority of knowledge that is available in the market at the moment. We have succeeded in uniting a lot of really top scientists from all over the world, and it's a great collection of knowledge. Further than this, we really try to address all the different topics that are necessary to build an AgriPV project. So starting from the political situation, going through the PV technology that has to adapt, going through the farming technology, the plant physiology, how can I simulate, make yield simulations, what are the social aspects, what are the legal aspects, what are the economic aspects of AgriPV. So we give a touch to all of these topics and to really give a great overview and make knowledge easily accessible. Also, we are trying to influence, of course, we want to give decision makers the power to make good decisions by using the knowledge that is available and giving it in a, let's say, easy way to these people. It is not a very complicated solution that it sometimes seems to be. So I would say to go for it, to give it a try and make the best use of the upcoming market.